So this is me advertising my work, my experience, and my sitting down. You got me. My name is Jeremy Kagan, and I've had both what I call a through-death experience, although the common language and term is near-death experience. I call it through-death experience because I'm here. And near-death sounds like you're there. And I've also had the gift of working with a shamanic medicine known as Ayahuasca. Which, among other things, is a healing medicine, but it also has with it both visions and hallucinogenic parts and experiences. So the fact that I've had both of these in my life, and there are similarities to both, and they've both been enormous gifts, and in many ways, they're the gifts of what is unexpected. We just heard one of the speakers here at this particular conference called the NDE International Association Near-Death Studies Conference here. And someone said that oftentimes when you have a sort of metaphysical experience, you get what you need, not necessarily what you want. And in both cases, I would say that I've been given two gifts that I'm still dealing with. In fact, the near-death experience was literally 20 years ago. And it was totally unexpected. I actually was doing some what we would call, I guess, spiritual work. I was working with Native American experiences. I was in what was called a sweat lodge, which are experiences where and these are non-drug related and non-substance related. They're just, you go into a very hot and very uncomfortable space. I'm not a fan of it. But in that process, you go through some ceremonies in which you really sort of are facing what's going on with your life at that particular moment. And these, as those of you who know about this, sweat lodges have been around the world for thousands and thousands of years. So I was doing this actually the day before my birthday, sort of like a cleansing experience for my birthday, and when I came out of it, happened to be in the wintertime, and it's very, very hot. I had what's called a hypothermic reaction, in which I literally lost total control of my body, fell to the ground, and then lost all control of any senses. In fact, they all stopped. I couldn't move my body at all. I couldn't hear. I couldn't see. Of course, I couldn't speak. Breath turned into gravel. And I thought at this moment, because I'd never heard of near-death experiences, I thought, oh, well, I'm just going to recover from this weirdness. And instead, it got worse and more threatening to the point in which I realized I was in big, big trouble. But there was nothing I can do. The people around me, thought I was fine, so they had let me alone. But I, of course, was no longer aware of them. And in the process, I began to go through what now I understand, having read and met many people who had these experiences, a through-death experience in which, having lost control of all of my body functions, meaning no longer being able to move my body, no longer being able to see or hear or speak or touch or taste or any of those senses, all gone, I went inside, and initially I felt, if I can just hold on, because I felt I was in real danger. If I could hold on like holding your breath in an internal psychic way, I'd be okay. Well, I tried, and inevitably I couldn't, and suddenly I couldn't hold on anymore, and I knew I was facing my own death, and I felt that there was nothing I could do to sort of just tighten up it, and I let go. And in the process of letting go, I had one of the most delicious, ecstatic, blissful, calm, peaceful, easy, complete sensations that I was in wonder and in awe. And this was the beginning of an incredible journey that was my through-death experience, that had me going to hell, that had me realizing that hell was merely an illusion, that had me going on a sort of classic journey through what is sometimes called a kind of tunnel of smoke and light, that had me seeing and hearing beings to my right and left, that had me literally going into a not only personal life review, but an entire history of humanity life review. And all in the most blissful, joyful, ecstatic, intense, wondrous experience. Now, it's taken me literally 20 years to finally find a way to even tell this. I'm saying to you right now, but just within the last 4 months, I wrote an electronic book that is published by Balboa Press, Hayes House. You can get it. It's called My Death, a personal guidebook, if you go on Google, and it's very cheap, only $2.99. But you will see, because I happen to also be an artist, and I'm a filmmaker. Some of you actually may recognize the name Jeremy Kagan. I've seen some of my movies. I've won Emmy Awards for my television shows as well. And visual is the way I experience a lot of life. Some people are more kinetic, some people are more oral. I'm all of those but visual. And what I realized was I needed to show people what I'd experienced. So over a 1.5 to 2 year time, I made about 150 paintings. And this ebook, and that's why it's an ebook, and that's why it's so cheap, because obviously 150 color illustrations in a hardcover, that's a big deal. I wanted everybody to be able to experience this, because I realized there was a message that came out of this.
Okay. What was the message?
And the message was this, that we are and have the capacities to literally lighten up. And I mean that in all the ways you think of lightening up. Lighten up like all the burdens and weights, both psychological and physical, that we often feel that bring us down, we can actually self will let them go and lighten our burdens. We can lighten up in the sense of being passionate, have the fire and excitement of actually being alive. That way we can lighten up. We can lighten up in the sense of showing ways to others so that they too can lighten their burdens, both emotional, psychological, and even physical. So that is part of the messaging that's in this story that I think if you actually go online and read for your $3, you may get some benefits of the journey that I took. And I think everybody's journey through death or near death is different. There are similarities. The other issue that I did experience after the coming back when I returned was something that a lot of people do talk about, and that was the immediate absolute delight and unconditional love that you have for everything that exists. Every human being that is in your life, every human being you're meeting at this very moment, all of nature, it is all such an incredible gift. And to be able to get into the space and intensity of gratitude for just being alive was one of the other major gifts of a near-death experience or my through-death experience. Now, hopefully we can get to that gratitude and that unconditional love without having to go through these experiences, but that's what some of these experiences are here for. Mm-hmm. And there is a comparison in terms of you're working with what I would call shamanic substances or medicines, that many of these for thousands of years have been used to heal us under the guidance of experienced healers or shamans, using these plant medicines. And it's amazing when you even think about ayahuasca, because ayahuasca itself is not one plant, it's two plants. It's a plant and a vine, and they don't even grow near each other. And the idea that for thousands of years people have actually been putting together these two plants to make up this particular substance, that in itself is a miracle. And as the shamans say, it wasn't through sort of scientific experimentation, it was the plants talk to them. And now those plants in many ways also talk and heal to the people who are able to imbibe them and go through the experience. Now, the physicality of both experiences, of the ayahuasca experience and the near-death experiences, it is physically challenging. Obviously, near-death experience and losing all control of your body, that's pretty challenging. That's frightening, of course, and I was terrified. Ayahuasca also, initially, this particular substance also has lots of physical challenges. In fact, you are encouraged to fast at least a week beforehand and not eat meat and sort of get yourself ready, because you're going to encounter physically some real challenges. And the challenges for me, as for many, are literally throwing up, and sometimes, every orifice of your body is letting go stuff, and it can be both humiliating, embarrassing, and challenging, difficult. But in the purging process, you realize that what's happening is you're not just your body. that in fact you are something much, much more than that. And in the process, particularly with these healing substances, at least in my personal experience and many of the people that I talk to, there is wisdom that is being imparted to you. So in both journeys, in the journey with the substance, with ayahuasca, I remember sort of being very, very afraid initially, because I'm not into this kind of stuff. This is really daring things for me. I'm not that quite courageous. But what I got immediately was, suddenly I was hearing voices. I don't hear voices. I hear mine a lot, but I don't hear voices. I was hearing voices, and they were sort of a pair of voices, guides, who literally said to me, "You're okay where you are." And hearing that in this mind now, and there's visual hallucinations that are all part of this experience, I realized that I was being told a message that is of value wherever you are, that we really are okay where we are, even in the turmoil and chaos and dangers that we experience. That's one. The next message that I heard was, you are always supported. And that too is an amazing concept, the idea that you're always supported. Now, I realize on one level, just look at the planet itself. I mean, the fact that gravity exists that even our scientists still can't really explain, but we're definitely supported. We're held by this planet itself. So these two messages were the beginning of a cycle of messages that I got and experienced during this rather long encounter over a 10-day period, where I also realized that there is more to life than what we would call the materialistic cause and effect gross body that we think is all of who we are. There is a divine spiritual guidance and connection that both of these experiences gave me, and I think are there to be shared with others.
Okay, Jeremy, thank you so much for sharing these two remarkable experiences.
You're quite welcome.